So look, if you clicked on the video, you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail, you have some interest in investing into real estate, and who knows, maybe you already do invest in real estate, or maybe you invest in the stock market or cryptocurrency, Forex, Walmart automation, Amazon automation, I don't really know. But what I do know for sure is the fiat currency, AKA the US dollar, is basically not worth anything. I mean, it is worth something, but with inflation and at the rate that they're printing money, over time, it doesn't do you any good to have a bunch of this US dollar just sitting in a bank account. Especially not when you can't even get 1% on your money in even the best of savings accounts. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't have an emergency fund and you shouldn't have a little bit of money set aside for a rainy day fund or whatever the case is, but what I am saying for certain is that if you want to join the top, the elite, you want to be a part eventually of the 1%, or maybe you just want to retire early, okay? You want to retire at 50 instead of 70, okay? And maybe you don't have a lot of trust in Social Security or whatever the case is, then ultimately you have to take your money and you have to buy assets. And there's only so many you can buy, right? You have stocks, again, you have real estate, and those are the two primary asset classes that people are investing in. Now, obviously, you've got Bitcoin, okay? You've got Ethereum, and you got all that too. And I'm definitely a proponent of that. So if you haven't already, definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel. I talk a lot about that as well. But with real estate in particular, there's only so many ways to invest into real estate. I mean, you can buy a rental property, you can buy an Airbnb property, you can buy a property to fix up, to renovate, and to put back on the market and make money through appreciation and adding value to the actual property. You can wholesale real estate, which I talk a lot about on my channel if you're not familiar with. You can also buy a residence to actually live in yourself, create equity over the long term, maybe buy it a little bit below market value, make money through appreciation, through maybe depreciating the property against your taxable income. A lot of ways to do that, which again, I talk a lot about on my channel. And maybe if you're like some big baller, okay, you can develop real estate, you could buy multifamily real estate, you could house hack, you could buy a duplex, a triplex, or a quadplex with an FHA loan, live in one of the units, rent out the others. But look, there's only so many ways to invest into real estate. And one of the ways that I really have looked into recently, and this isn't something I'm super heavy into, so take it with a grain of salt, but I tell you what, I really like the model. And when I looked at the model, I said to myself, you know, if I was 18 years old again, starting all over, and I didn't have the knowledge and the wisdom that I have right now, what would I do? And I really like the idea of a lot of these new eReits that they're rolling out, which is real similar to a traditional REIT. And if you're not familiar with what a REIT is, it's a real estate investment trust. The first one ever created in 1960 called Breadcrumb. It was a US REIT, and basically it was established by Congress, again, in 1960 to give all investors, especially small investors, access to income producing real estate. And you hear a lot of people talk badly about REITs. You hear a lot of people that'll say that a REIT is highly illiquid, meaning you don't have access to your capital at any given time. And if you pull your capital out or want to pull your capital out early, then you get penalized for doing so. And I would just say to a lot of the arguments that I hear, like a REIT even being overpriced or a REIT being over leveraged, basically I would just say that to every argument, there's a counter argument. And with every investment, there's going to be pros and there are going to be cons. So I've been dabbling around a little bit in a new platform called Fundrise. Okay, they've actually been around for a little while now, but they're actually an eReit, which is basically an electronic version of a standard or traditional real estate investment trust. And they're becoming a little bit more popular, and they're treating them kind of like crowdfunding platforms. And you've probably seen a little bit of this before, and if you haven't seen a little bit of it, I'm gonna show it to you right now. Another main difference between an eReit and a REIT is with a traditional REIT, you don't actually know where your money is really going. I mean, not only do you not have control, but you also don't know. You're invested into the company, into the actual trust, right? Into the actual fund. And they're gonna take that money and they're going to acquire whatever projects they want to acquire, and they don't really have any obligation to tell you what it is that they're doing, assuming that you get your return, okay? With the eReits, a lot of them anyways, they actually will show you what projects your money is going into, how much money is going into a particular project, how many total projects your money is compiled into, and pretty much everything of the sort. Another really great thing that I personally love about Fundrise is you actually don't need to be an accredited investor. And typically you would need to be an accredited investor to invest in a traditional REIT, okay? And an accredited investor has to have about $250,000 a year worth of income or $1 million net worth. And you don't need any of that if you want to invest in a platform like Fundrise. Another really great thing about Fundrise is the minimum investment is only $500, which I really like because it allows you to get into the world of real estate investing without actually having to have a lot of money, without actually having to have extremely good credit, without having to have maybe a job for a year or 2 years to get a loan on a property, without having to really do a whole lot, you're able to get into the world and take advantage of what real estate has to offer and to learn about it without really having to jump through the traditional hoops and hollers of investing into real estate. So I actually invested about $3,000 into Fundrise last year, okay? And I've invested about $500 a month in ever since, and I'm gonna show you that here in just a minute, so definitely stay tuned to the end of the video. And if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you would take just a quick second and just smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. But first, let's just go ahead and get into the pros and the cons of actually using Fundrise. So I'm just gonna list off the pros and the cons really quick so I don't wanna waste your time. So some of the pros include a low minimum investment, which we obviously just talked about. So, you could have a 9-to-5 job, a part-time job, you could definitely do other things. I mean, I would suggest that you do other things. You would never wanna make an investment like this your only thing, okay? So a low minimum investment, relatively low fees overall, about 1% a year, which is not horrible for advisory fees and stuff like that, comparatively to other investments in the similar niche or category that we're obviously talking about, okay? You don't need to be accredited, which we just talked about, so that's obviously a huge pro in my opinion. It's pretty well diversified throughout the entire country, all 50 states, all the way from commercial, industrial, and residential real estate projects, which I personally love. It's obviously passive income through dividend income and through appreciation and other various ways that you can get paid, and it gives you access to uncommon asset classes, okay, which I think is definitely very, very cool. And some of those uncommon asset classes are just like random stuff, like commercial real estate or industrial real estate, stuff like that, where, even multifamily, even some like weird residential stuff that you probably wouldn't be able to have access to a project like that if it wasn't through like an eReit and the connections that they have. I'm somebody that does real estate every single day, and a lot of the projects that I see that are already in my portfolio aren't projects that I've personally ever come across. So there's a couple of cons that I can ultimately think about, and one of them is that your money's not very liquid. So if you wanna pull your money out soon, you're gonna get charged penalties, and it's not gonna be very good for you, okay? So it's definitely a con, and another con that I can think of also is the fact that your taxes are actually taxed as ordinary income as opposed to capital gains, okay? So, again, just depending on how you look at it, I'm not gonna give you any tax advice, so definitely consult with your CPA on that, but that could definitely be considered a con. So let's just go ahead and look at my actual Fundrise account. I'm gonna pull it up on my phone and we're gonna look at it together. So again, I just threw a couple of $1,000s in here back, I think in about August of 2020, just to kind of play around with it, and I set myself up on the basic investing plan, which is actually called the balanced investing according to Fundrise. So the next level up is the advanced, okay? And it's definitely something that I'll probably look into when I get above like 10 grand into my Fundrise investment. So as you can see here, about $500 a month has gone into my Fundrise investment since August, okay? So you can see it kind of stair-stepping up with another $500 investment very recently on February 19th. Now, overall, I've made about $102 in actual dividend income, okay? And I've made $141 through appreciation. My advisory fees were only about $3.42 total, and my total net return on investment is about $239. But let's go ahead and break this down a little bit, because I want to explain to you why that's actually a little bit low in my opinion right now. So Fundrise claims that you can get about 8 to 12% a year, which is actually not very bad at all, okay? I think the S&P 500 the average S&P 500 stock market return over the last 140 years is about 9.2% a year. Now, obviously, from like 2010 to 2020, we saw a lot bigger gains than that, but we've pretty much been in like a 10 or 12 year bull run. So when you're looking at an investment like Fundrise, you're gonna see about the same returns as the stock market. If anything, you might see a little bit better returns, and overall, it's good to be diversified in my opinion. You don't wanna be all in the stock market. You don't wanna be all in real estate. And you probably don't even want all of your money just in stocks and real estate. You probably want, nowadays, a little bit of cryptocurrency, a little bit of stocks, a little bit of real estate, maybe some gold and silver, and then maybe a couple of other various things. So for some reason it doesn't show on desktop, but I'm gonna pull up on my phone really quick so you can see where my money is allocated. So I have 11 active positions in these different eReits that are kind of broken up. When you invest your money, it's something that they automatically do for you. But basically only 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are actually operating right now, right? So of my total $6,700, give or take, I've only got probably about $2,500 into fully operational eReits, okay? So, when you look at the rest of these, they're either stabilizing or they're ramping up. So basically it takes a little bit of time. And, this is because, again, I'm investing a little bit of money every single month automatically into this particular investment. So a little while ago, I was telling you how you could actually see all of your different projects, and this is what we can actually see on this page right here, which in my opinion, I think is kind of cool, okay? So as we can see, we've got 89 active projects, and we can actually see literally where the properties are located. I actually live in Phoenix, Arizona. This is a fixed income kind of strategy investment right here, $12.8 million total, project size. And I can actually view the details of this entire project, okay? So I can go in here and I can read about it. I can read the market analysis. I can look at the equity, the debt and everything like that on the actual project. And ultimately, I can read about it and they'll keep you updated on the different projects, which I think is ultimately really cool because it gives you a visual of where you're actually putting your money. Kind of gives you a cool feeling, right? I can actually see like, oh, that's what I'm invested in. Theoretically, I could get in my car and I could go drive by the investment. I could see what's going on and everything like that. So that's pretty much Fundrise in a nutshell. It's pretty much an eReit in a nutshell, or a REIT, okay? I think these are a really popular investment strategy with real estate investing in 2021. For people that, again, they don't want to go out and manage their own rental property. They don't want to manage tenants. They don't want to, fix broken toilets in the middle of the night or anything like that. Then I think ultimately it can be a great diversification strategy for somebody that doesn't want to deal with all of that, okay? So that's just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. Do your own homework. Do your own gosh dang due diligence. And I'm going to be investing into platforms like Fundrise, and I'm also going to be investing into real estate, okay? I'm going to be investing into my own real estate projects, which I talk about all the time on my channel. So if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and like the video, okay? For the YouTube algorithm. All you got to do is just take just a second and just smash the like button, okay? It's real simple. It's real easy. It just takes just a second, okay? So make sure to do that for me. Also, I'll put a link down below to Fundrise, so if you're interested, definitely go to that link and check it out. I really appreciate you for watching the video, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.